Hey everybody. Welcome back to Through the Noise. It is your favorite Black girls in AI.
Hey.
Jessica.
Shell.
And today we're going to be talking about my 5P system.
What is your 5P system?
So,
what does that include?
All right. So the 5Ps, it started out as a 3P system. Then I realized that I was leaving some Ps out. And, you know, P's belong in a pod. So we got to pot up the P's. So that's what's going on here.
Okay.
So the original, the core, the nexus, if you will, of the work of what I do in the system is the 3Ps, which is policy, process, products.
Okay.
Right? So what are your company's policies in regards to AI use and governance? What is the processes that we're going to adjust or change or create using AI? And what products are we actually going to use?
Okay.
Right. And that you can visualize that as kind of like a pyramid, because obviously the products is the foundation, right? You can't even
start nothing without the product.
But it's actually, I say that system I work top down and bottom up.
Okay.
And I mean by that is this is where the other P's come in. So I work with the people, to solve the problems.
Okay.
That's the other two P's, right? To develop those policies.
Okay.
And then, but I know the people who are doing the work, and again, the problems that we're looking to solve, it helps you find some early products.
Okay.
Right? And that's because what we have is we call the messy middle. That's the process part.
What's the messy middle?
So, you know, your intestines are not like obviously thrown around, right? That's kind of messy. I mean it, right? Like it's the when you start something, it's obvious usually. Okay. When you finish something, it's straightforward.
Okay.
But what's that middle? Right?
Yeah.
If you're planning a party, you know how to start planning a party. Yes. Okay, what day, what time, the location, who all gonna be there.
Yes.
Once you start getting to the logistics, that gets messy.
Yes.
Then people show up. It gets literally messy.
It gets all over the place. Yes.
And then it ends straightforwardly.
Yes.
Everybody gotta go.
Yes.
And then you just clean everything out.
Yes.
And whatever gotta get returned. Or gotta get, you know,
we all had a good day. And have a good one.
Maybe send a thank you note. That's so see how like that's like a party planning process. So throw some P's in here. Has a messy middle.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? In your business, and I with us as well, right? We know when we're starting something, it's one place. Yes. We know how like the end product to look at, but in the middle, it can be big chaos.
So
that's like that messy middle idea.
Okay, good. Okay.
And everybody understands, you know, business development. Anyone understands like business organization. Who knows on career coaching, business coaching, operations management, project and program management understands this concept of messy middle.
Okay.
Some of us who are in different fields may not have dealt with that. You know, if you're in marketing and sales, you don't really deal with the messy middle because you're part of the beginning.
Yes.
Right? You're the beginning of the process. The messy middle is the operations. Right? And if you're in HR, then you're always messy. And you're always in the middle of everything. And that's why we don't like you. But anyway, so...
HR is always messy. It's crazy work because...
Y'all messy. Y'all messy.
My good girl said y'all is real messy.
Y'all messy.
Real messy HR.
I think the amount of stories I've heard about people getting in trouble for putting hot sauce in their own food when somebody else is stealing it.
It's so crazy.
That's messy, friends. I don't care. I don't care if that's a tangent either. Let's just clip that. Well, man. Y'all go get mad at somebody for following the rules that you wrote.
That's your policy?
Following the law that you're legally required to follow? I can't. So if anybody understands the messy middle, it's going to be HR, even though they don't call it that. Because it never starts or ends with HR, does it really?
No.
But that's that other P, right? The people. So when you think about, so what I mean by all those, right? So the general framework of how the work that we do is built on those three Ps, right? Policy, process, products. That's the general framework. So top down means I talk to the decision makers. We work out the policies to figure out based on the problem. Those are those people. And then bottom up means I'm meeting the workers. I'm meeting those people where their little problems, right? And then what products we can immediately implement along to help us as we build out the whole workflow.
Okay.
Right? And the reason for doing that is And I'll use an example that just happened yesterday. So a colleague of mine, he's a very analytical kind of person. He's a numbers guy,
yes.
right? He doesn't he's not an artist. He doesn't do creative stuff.
Yeah,
He
everything is just numbers. It's just okay. Everybody
like,
has their talent.
There's not a creative bone in my body.
It's okay.
That's fine.
It's okay.
He's a sweetest of hearts. He releases these weekly stock market commentaries.
Nice.
Yeah, I love him.
Period.
And it's just simple black and white, you know, a little red when it needs to be, a couple little tables. It's very straightforward.
Okay.
So I showed him while we were having a chat, a call. I printed the email as a PDF. I took it to Manus. Okay. I said, hey, Manus, make a presentation based upon this, this amount of contents, be as accurate as possible. Okay. Right. It could be completely accurate. Use as many slides as you think is necessary. Yes. Create visuals for the numbers. Make sure it's visually appealing and very corporate and professional, but highly accurate based upon what's in the PDF. And within not even 4 minutes, we had a beautiful looking presentation.
Okay, nice. Okay.
And he was
Shout out to Manus.
Right? And he had one little minor edit, on the last slide. Said, hey, can you edit, pull this out. It did it again within a minute. And we had a beautiful looking PowerPoint.
This is from his, the resources and everything. Oh, from his email.
Just the email.
Okay.
Just the email. I used what I had.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
This is down to policy, right? So that was his first concern. Like, well, it's going to work for like compliance policy. Like, it's a great question, right? But before we get there, I said, like, hey, can I? Because it's something, but you already shared it externally, which means you're allowed to share it. Mm-hmm. Once you put something out there, you're kind of saying it's allowed to be shared. But as we're talking, let me ask if it's okay. Because submitting it to the regular, I had a free account, so it's not protected, information in that regard. It's going to go in their training model. He's like, yeah, it's okay. Okay, great. So, like, how do you deal with that as far as compliance? It's like, well, there's a couple ways to go about it, right? The easiest, simplest thing is obviously if you are your own business, then you make under your business account, like I do, right? Our Manus account we share is under the business account that we share. Mm-hmm. If you are a bigger corporate company, you've got 10,000 employees or whatever, you got all these 15 departments, everyone operates separately. How do you do it then? Well, maybe your department just gets one account for the whole department.
Like a business account.
Right. You decide how many teams how many team members that you need. Mm-hmm. With chat, for example, you're required to have at least 2. I think the same thing for Manus, your team's account. It's like it's price per person, but your minimum is 2.
Yes.
And then what you do is you just have the company buy it, right?
Yes.
So that company buys this account under this email, company buys another account under that email, and you just share that information, so the login information so everybody can use it.
So everybody can see what's going on, right, etc.
Or, and this is the difference comes in, like what I suggest and how I would go about it using my framework is I would say, let's do that because I'll tell you right now, if you have anything resembling a good IT policy, this is covered. Now, our job is to write a more comprehensive one that's AI-centered, but I guarantee you, if you had anything resembling a good comprehensive IT policy, what I'm suggesting doesn't require changing the policies just for that.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, we're changing the policies anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's why we're talking.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm going to suggest, Chris, why don't you start by creating like 1 or 2 Teams accounts, share the login with the team, let them use it, is that helps you to determine how much they're using the product.
Okay.
How much they need the product.
How much they need to keep using. Well, how much, I guess, is it for me to keep paying for us to keep using it?
And it also helps you, for example, like Manus can do so many things.
Yes.
Right? So using Manus.
It's an agent
It's agentic, right?
Yeah.
So I'll admit, using Manus just to make slides is like using a Dremel just to screw holes.
Yeah.
It's like, don't you have a screwdriver for that? Yeah. Like, what are you? Mm-hmm. I mean, but like you could do so much more.
Okay.
Like, why are you just using it for that? Yeah. Like you have a KitchenAid stand mixer and the only thing you do is make whipped cream. That's it?
You gotta master the whipped cream.
I'm gonna say you don't mix cake, you don't beat bread,
no,
you don't add the pasta attachment.
No, that's too much. We just need
you're not meat grinding attachment.
We don't need all that.
All you doing with the whole stand mixer. And I'm calling myself I have a KitchenAid stand mixer that's been collecting dust for years. Because every time I pull that thing down, I'm like, it will take me this much arm strength to just whip it myself.
You want something done, you got to do it yourself. You got to do it yourself.
I call myself as many a time where I pull that thing down and make a cake. And after I'm done cleaning it, I'm like, I could have just whipped this myself. Like, this cake is not much better whipped. But I'm not saying KitchenAid stand mixer doesn't work. My point, to get back to the topic, is one of the reasons why I go that way, right, is I ask which products. What are the problems or the products. This guy's problem in his mind, which is not, works for him, but in his mind, his problem that he's not creative.
Okay.
Right. He lacks creativity.
Yes.
He doesn't mind. But when he uses Canva, he has to copy paste everything over.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have an eye for design.
Okay.
Right. That's his problem.
Okay.
Okay, great. Here's the solution. Here's a product that will solve that problem for you better and more comprehensively than Gamma, for example. Okay. Right. Because Gamma does the exact same thing. The Gamma is probably the better tool to use, if only for that. If the only thing you're doing is converting PDFs into anything else, you should just use Gamma. It's kind of almost insulting to use Manus for that again. But it's like using, a butcher knife just to crush garlic. It's like, really?
It gets the job done.
It does, but there were so many options. And don't you know that knife could do so much more than just crush garlic? What are we doing here? So I love
you just gotta start small, baby girl.
You gotta start somewhere.
You have to start small.
But the beauty of why I would choose a product like Manus and what I did for this gentleman is for one, Manus is really works well with on-the-fly edits.
Okay.
So you can talk to it a little bit more like a ChatGPT, the LLM. Whereas with Gamma, you gotta give it a little more specific prompting.
Okay.
2, Manus does 10,000 things.
Okay.
So if your primary problem is just, it's just I want presentations, then if that's the only problem I'm solving, it's probably going to be Beautiful or Gamma or one of the other ones that do that.
Yes.
But if I'm introducing you and your team to using AI, and I want you guys to get comfortable with it, as we, the bosses, figure out all of the things we're going to do, it behooves you guys to give your team a very open-ended tool that can do a whole lot, and just be like, all right, go have fun, just go look it up and don't mess up, right? Like, obviously keep it on the policy, keep it in our account. It's in our account. Don't go crazy now with the credits. But go crazy. Go have some fun.
Be creative. Show some different skills. Maybe, it works out for you. Maybe you got the talent and the creativityness in you that I don't have. And that's okay. So just try it out. Just play around.
Because the thing is, then you got a team of, say, 10 people. Maybe 3 guys just use it for PowerPoints. 4 guys use it to make, landing pages and presentations, proposals, and PowerPoints. And the other 2 people are using it to do research, to draft content, to write blogs, to write newsletters, to build code. Like, they're doing it for 15 things and those other things. Well, now you can say to yourself, should we just give those 2 guys the Manus account and give the other people the Gamma? Because everything else they want to do is just covered by Gamma. It'll be much more affordable and, effective as a company for us to do that way. And then, or are there other things altogether we end up doing? Because maybe as we do it on a pipeline, the work that these guys are going to be doing is going to shift anyways, because somewhere else in the processes, AI is going to be introduced.
There's other P.
Right? That means that you're not even going to be needing to do half the stuff you're doing now. But the important thing of giving you the product is that you got familiarity.
Yes.
You need people to have buy-in. You don't want to just show up after you've been sitting in a room with me for 30 days. Well, here's the product you're going to use, and now we're using AI. Like, they're going to fight you.
Okay.
That's that people element. People don't think about the people element enough. What that means.
What is the people element?
Like, one of the things I discussed before on the show is the importance of not just firing people the moment their job kind of gets automated out, right?
Yes.
And the couple of reasonings for that, right? The one of which is give them a chance to find new projects and other things they want to do. Give them a chance to go to HR or get a new job altogether. Train and upskill in the new field. That's important, right? But that third reason, remember, if you recall, is if that person spends 6 weeks sitting around playing Sudoku, not even trying, and you fire them, the rest of the team won't feel any kind of way.
Okay.
That's the people element. Don't think about, right?
Okay.
That's why you send the product as soon as possible.
Yes.
The products are sent out. Something is sent out as soon as possible.
Okay.
Because you want to get the people bought in.
Okay.
You want them to want to use these tools.
Okay.
The best way to do that is to give them a tool to use.
Okay.
Do it. That's something you can do in a day. Hey, Tuesday we're gonna meet with Jessica. She's gonna go over Manus, what it is, what it does, how to use it. She's gonna go over Notebook LM, what it is and how to use it, and then you're gonna share the login for the department to use both of these softwares, and a very quick 1-pager, 2-pager updated policy addendum, just to have an addendum to the policy for now as we build out the full system. Okay. Well, why? You know why? Because if it's going to take me a month or 2, or maybe even 3, to between doing my full assessment, building out your policy stack, and starting to look at your processes before we're even talking to the workers about changing anything, that's 2 to 3 months for them to realize what AI can and can't do, and get updated, and realize like, oh, okay, Manus doesn't write good songs, but it does, make cute sites, or it does make pretty good landing pages, and I know now I figured out how to make it work, and that saves me a little bunch of time, or now it actually opens up more work I can do, right? Whereas before, when I wanted to do a sales pitch to somebody, I would have to write out the PDF and then do this and do that. Now I can just write the PDF and say, generate this, generate that, generate that, generate this, and then I get 6 pieces of content generated, and then I can put that out. Great. Like that is, then when you start doing that work of the messy middle, the processes, you can get feedback from the team.
Gotcha.
Say like, hey, I know you guys have been using, this tool for a little while. We're thinking about this other tool, or we're thinking about building something proprietary, or, whatever. We're thinking about, doing this tech stack, and we want to see your thoughts. How was your experience when using XYZ tools?
Yes.
And then you have a feedback, and I'm like, well, actually, I think that's, since it's been 2 months of me using, Manus by myself, I've actually shifted how I do my workflow entirely, and I've been doing this, and these are my results. Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then that's buy-in.
No, for sure. Do you feel like it's the 5P, the process of the products and policy, do you feel like it's necessary to have in your business?
Oh, man. So many companies are opening themselves up to tremendous lawsuit opportunity, IP issues. A lot of companies are refusing to use AI, which because of these issues and these concerns, and because of that hesitancy, and depending on your industry, it can open up to more suits. That's why I love talking about lawyers and law firms, right? Because they're opening themselves up to malpractice lawsuits if they do not use AI to save time. But if they just flippantly give their team AI, say their team, AI, green light, go, like Samsung did for, a little while back. And their team took all sorts of IP and put it on their personal Chat GPT accounts and put their IP out into the world. Now their IP is gone, and they gave it away.
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at? You how you can give away your IP, you can give away your trademarks, you can give away your stuff.
Yeah.
So it's simple. That's what I say. It's simple things like having a Teams account.
Yes.
Right? You can't just have, say you could use chat. Excuse me. You could use the Chat Teams account. This is our Teams account. You can use the company's Manus account. You can use the company's name whatever product account. This is on our cloud. It looks like this. You talk to it this way. This is what you're allowed to use. Here's our little playground, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
So that's where the policies piece comes in. I was explaining that to somebody just yesterday, he was asking about getting websites designed, right?
Okay.
And I was saying, this is how much it'll cost to build a really basic website, and these are the add-ons. If you want things like a chat bot, it'll be like a extra, a couple $1,000s. And he was like, why is it like, $2,000 or $3,000 for a chat bot? And I was like, well, for one, it can take me hours just to build a data set to build the bot. As you've done this.
Yes.
It can take sometimes 20 minutes, but other times 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours.
If you want a good one, it's going to take you a good minute. I feel, even if you're a professional, like I said, if you want a great one, it's going to take you a few hours.
It's going to take you a minute.
It is. It's going to take you a minute.
Unless you just really had all your data perfectly organized and filed in the first place, in which case, yeah, that's easy just to pull. But, and some people do.
Yes.
To be fair. Some people do have their data pretty well, easily organized. Even then, just copy pasting the documents takes time.
You got to make sure it's correct, like the margin. You got to make sure the line spacing,
it literally matters. Spacing. It literally matters.
It just, and it's
sometimes
like,
you gotta look at more content and fewer pages. So
just to get an idea of what you're looking for, how you want it to go.
And then you gotta put the safeguards. Then we hadn't even get to that something. And then the biggest thing is the prompt. I was telling the gentleman, I said, I have to go to classes, to workshops, to seminars, to paid events and conferences to get the information that helps me build better bots. American Airlines was held liable when one of their bots was giving out, wrong information about like the bereavement policy that wasn't true to somebody, I think whose spouse had passed, and they're trying to fly with them. And they sued American Airlines, and the courts ruled that they were liable because it's on your site, it's your chatbot. Now, I want you to use one if it makes sense for your business, but at the same time, my job is to make sure that you're not getting sued, because I'll best believe you're not suing me either. You're not gonna sue me because the bot I built you went crazy. I'm not about to put myself up open to that. I'm not gonna open myself up to that.
Yes.
So I have to get trainings. I have to dedicate hours of my time, and not to mention hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in education, so that I can build a bot that's not gonna open you up to problems and lawsuits. So y'all can pay me for my time. What you thought? If bot was that cheap and easy, then you do it.
If you want something done, you got to do it yourself. If you want it done the right way, you'll put up that money for it.
I mean, like, what are we doing here? It's crazy talking to business owners. Because, like, the gal who's asked about the website, I was like, because it was a brother who was, setting it up. I told her, like, listen, if you want to borrow on the budget, here's an affiliate link to the software that I use.
Yeah.
And you'll get access to the same information I have
on
how to do it. And best of luck to you. Have fun.
I gave you the resources.
So only gonna pay. They ain't gonna pay me nothing but a couple dollars for you to use it. So it's not like it really benefits me to do it that way.
Yeah.
But it cuts out the why I charge this much conversation when I tell you my prices later. Okay.
You've done the work. You've done the homework.
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and go back and forth with nobody about why I charge what I charge. Okay. This is the price.
And, I don't know why people like to do stuff like that, to try to go back and forth with business owners or why they charge what they charge. Because it's like, well, you do need the help, correct? Because obviously what you're doing is not working. Whatever it is that you used was not working. So why look to me to try to down my pay just to benefit you? And if it don't work out, and if it's still coming out looking half-assed, and you looking at me like, well, this is what you charge, and you charge me this, blah, blah, blah. Hold up, baby. Hold up.
I can't give out low quality.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like,
I can't give you low
absolutely
quality
not.
product
No,
because you don't want to pay.
And then my name is on it because you quick to say, "Oh well, I talked to somebody named Jessica. She told me to do X, Y, Z," and it's like, no. I record myself. So if you want to put it out, since everybody want to get exposed, that's exposed. Because baby, I keep my stuff recorded. So let's put it out there. Like,
my notes taker on. You ain't about to call me up.
No, we're not doing that. No, I did not.
Why is it this much to do this? It's also too like, what do you think? Like, this is supposed to be to some extent replacing people. Let's be fair. Much as I say that AI isn't going to replace people, it does to an extent.
To an extent,
it definitely does. Because if all your job was basic tasks,
you get an AI to do some basic tasks.
Then right. That's what your job was, and then it replace you. That's the other truth. That's why I try to push people to have jobs that are not that. Like, move your job.
Like easily replaceable with stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Move your career out of a space that, if all, and this doesn't denigrate anybody, but if all you are, quote unquote, is like a cashier, it is true that a good 50 to 80% of the adult population who's able-bodied can do that job.
Yeah.
The adult, able-bodied, reasonably sound mind, reasonably socially functioning, 80% or more can be a cashier. That's why the job is minimum wage, right? That's why, because you're very easily replaceable. So when other work, which is a little higher skilled, maybe only 30-40% of the population can handle as far as education level. But you have a tool that costs $30 a month.
company's paying for.
Stop. Like, that's why I can't impress enough. Learn the tools. Learn the tools. There's so much. It's like I was trying to explain to somebody. Someone was asking me, what are your features? Like, what are your services you offer? And I was like, whatever you need. Like, what do you mean? And like, well, you have to have a limit. You can't do everything. And I said, if your job in 1996 was to sell internet to companies so that they'll make more money in their business, and you were the consultant who was going to consult on how they were going to use internet to make their business more successful, what would you do?
Yeah.
What skills would you have? What specific services would you offer? I'm sure it's a lot. Because, I mean, you're going to help a plumber with internet differently than you're going to help a lawyer. Right? And the more content goes on the internet, the more that's going to change. So people need to, just be mindful. Yes, even though I do say and I do mean people who use AI, people who don't use AI are going to get replaced by people who do. AI isn't really coming to replace people. You do need to be mindful of people. And that's why people is one of the 5 Ps, right?
Yes.
Because like, for example, you've expressed that writing isn't your strong suit.
And I meant that. Yes, I sure did. And I meant that. I meant every
toes down.
Okay, and I meant every word of it, honey.
I'm about to flip this keyboard.
Okay,
right
listen.
I'm about to flip my keyboard. But here's the thing. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's the question that becomes, so do I instruct you to just use Chat, Gemini, whatever, to write for you? Or do I take that on? Right? And then I do the writing and you do the other things.
Yes.
That's that people-centered focus. Because it's like, I could just say, well, if we need it and the we have the process to get out newsletters and blogs, then you need to just use these tools to get out newsletters and blogs. And then it'll just be a whole bunch of garbage.
Pretty much.
But when I understand the people,
yes.
I understand like, okay, you're just not much of a writer, but you could disseminate it once it's written.
Yes.
Okay, great. I am. So how do we get me writing?
Yes.
How do you put me in that space? Or do I just find somebody else who can write?
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's the people element. Because
that's the solution to solving the problem.
See, if we go back to the other P's, right?
The other P's.
You don't just want to use AI for the sake of using AI.
Yeah.
That's goofy.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people are getting sold snake oil and they're getting frustrated and upset. And somebody just sold them all these tools, all these features that they don't need just because of AI.
It's AI, like I said last week. You just going along with it just to go along, just to keep up. But it's like you don't need it though. You don't need to just try to keep up because everybody does something different. Every company does something different. I feel as though like know your company, like know what you're doing, so you can have an understanding on how to use the proper tools and what you need it for.
Right. Because it's like if you are, for example, I guess this, I want to say attorney I was talking to the other day. Yeah, he has needs for things like chatbots. Yeah. Obviously, internally and externally once his website is built, and internally for his team to use. He doesn't right now have really any need for marketing stuff. Now, the point is to build the marketing. But for the moment, if I was going to introduce a product today, I'm going to focus on something that's going to, like Notebook LM, something like that. That's going to help. Going to
actually help him
today. You can't just, it always comes back to what's the problem. That's why it had to be added to as a 5th P, is what problems are we actually solving? Because we can talk all kinds of noise and do stuff that's just fun. We do that here. And we pick up new tools. We play with them. We have fun with them. We just go, ooh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? But none of that really matters if we're not solving problems.
You're just learning something new just to say we learned it. We're just chugging along. Chugga.
That's not it. That is that's so goofy. Cannot with you.
Chugging along, baby.
Because people be doing that.
Yeah.
People be doing that.
They do. And that's why I said, like, you just take your time with it. You have to take your time because the software is going to be there. Regardless of updates or anything, like, the software is going to be there. And if you want your You said what?
Because it's not going anywhere.
Oh yeah, it's not going anywhere. So it's like if you want your business to grow along with it, figure out your problems. Figure out where you're trying to get your business to grow. Like what's the solutions that you're looking for. Go back to where stuff wasn't working out. Why you lean up like that with a smile?
No. You know what it is? Because I can't stand the companies that lie in my face and say, we don't need AI.
Okay.
And like, oh, so you don't got no problems in your business? No, we're good. Oh, yeah?
Listen, if they tell you that,
you make all the money
have a good day. Have a good day.
There's no backlogs.
Have a good day.
There's no operational inefficiencies.
Have a good day.
Sales funnels, the lead generation.
Have a good day.
Lead nurturing.
Have a good day.
Capture, onboarding.
Have a good day. You just got to tell them have a good day. Okay.
Operational, management and support, product and program, service design.
Have a good day. Because, I mean, that's what else could you do? Like, if you don't want it,
compliance,
if you want to keep being in that same position, do your thing. Stay there.
It's good.
Yeah, stay
You're
there.
You're a perfect company. Can you teach me? Teach me.
And at this point, if it was so perfect, why are we here?
Why are you even outside?
Like, why are we
Why aren't you on a stage getting an award for your award-winningly perfect business? Little Miss or Mr. Perfect.
Was it on the billionaire list of Forbes?
You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, if you ain't on the list, if you ain't make the Forbes list,
what are you doing? What drug is it? Who's the person? Do they have a book? What book did you read? Was it the Napoleon Hill's book? Help me out. Was it Robert Greene? Whose book? Kiyosaki? Whose book were you reading that has you just perfect? Sometimes the Lulu is not the Salulu.
It's not, but did you clock that tea? I saw it, girl. Clock it. Because
sometimes Delulu is not the Salulu. Sometimes Delulu is the problem.
You know, people think delusion is just the new way of the world, and it's like, you know, it's not.
You can be delusional about some things. You could be delusional and say everything's going to work out today. All's going to be well. I want to make $5 million today.
Yes.
That's the good kind of delusion. You know, my company's going to close every business deal it encounters today. That's a good delulu you want.
I would say that's a good affirmation.
Right, but that's the type of, you know, by just saying, like, we're going to close everything. Every client we meet. We're going
to get it going. Like,
we're going to send invoices. They're going to pay that invoice immediately. Delulu is absolutely. But when it's I don't need help.
And you do.
I don't need any more operational support. Thank y'all.
And you do.
No, our compliance is perfect. Thank y'all. Our systems are up to date. Thank you. Oh, okay. No problems. Ain't nobody on the payroll. Nobody hate.
There's always problems somewhere. Like it's always a problem somewhere, and it's okay. Like
stop lying.
It's okay.
If you're busy, if you got a lot of business, maybe you need to increase the performance, so you don't have to hire another person to do more business. Maybe you're in GovCon and you're like, everything is smooth. Me and my team of 5 knock out 1 proposal a week and all is well. Great. Maybe we got a solution that can do a proposal a day per person on the team. How's that sound? So a team of 5 is doing 1 proposal per week, where you could have 5 people getting an average of 20 to 25 proposals per week.
Okay.
Would that be helpful?
Well, I hope so. Does that sound like a solution to your problem?
I mean, it doesn't always gotta be about business. It could be the personal stuff too. I mean, that's what, you know, one thing I've been talking to a lot of gals who are disabled.
Okay.
And you know, as a Black American woman, you don't often see yourselves as privileged people.
No, but not at all.
I get up and walk around.
Mm-hmm.
I go to the gym. I be lifting heavy weights.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I lifted 75 pounds today.
Congrats.
Thank you. Doing my I was doing my sumo squats. So I ain't there yet I ain't there yet. I'm not there yet.
I got you. Actually, I just did the same thing. I had an epiphany halfway through doing my dumbbell RDLs and squats.
Thank you.
I realized I was like, wait a minute. If I use the cable machine just right, I could do this on the cable machine.
Yeah, so it works better on the cable machine if you're trying to go a little bit higher.
It's just the weights because the dumbbells max at 50 pounds each. So I've been stuck at 100 pounds on my dumbbells for all these workouts for like 8-9 months.
Yeah.
I've been just kind of trapped here, just focusing on form and technique.
No, for sure.
And then it just occurred to me, it's like, oh, if I just use this technique, now I can go up. I went right up to 120 like nothing.
Period. Your body's already used to it. Go, girl.
I'm going to probably hit 130 next week.
Go, girl.
140s. I'm just going to crank them out.
Just keep going, girl.
I'm trying to get my leg press back up to 310.
Just keep going, girl. Keep going.
290 last time I did it, so I got to get back up to 310.
Keep going, girl. You could do it, girl.
I'll freely admit, it gives me a little bit of joy when there's some insecure dude in there,
Thank you.
And then the moment I pick up the heavy weights, he just leaves.
Where you going, baby?
Is that my toxic trait?
Come back, baby.
That I like watching insecure men go away?
Come back, baby. Come watch me. Come do it with me.
Nah. They literally just leave. That's why I feel bad about going in the afternoons, though. Because the afternoon is when the knuckleheads are in there. At least in the morning, it's serious.
In the morning
people.
Time, it's just old
ladies and a couple of serious youngsters in there, and that's it.
No, I go in the morning. It's like, it's women in mine, and more so old heads.
Yeah,
some old heads.
Old people,
yeah,
and serious young people are in the gym early in the morning.
I got a lot of people in wheelchairs. They be working out their upper half, and I'll be like, oh, it's an old lady, older woman.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, she coming in with her nursing aide. Her nursing aide set her up. My girl be on her cables, and she just be recording her. I said, thank you. Go, girl. She do every morning. Every morning she coming in.
There's a guy with cerebral palsy who's do the same thing.
Nice. She
be on the leg press and the
leg curl
machine.
Good. Okay.
She's trying to keep her legs moving.
Absolutely.
So she doesn't lose them.
For sure.
With cerebral palsy, if you don't use it, you lose it.
No, for sure.
And so, I'm like, hey, proud of you.
Shout out to you.
She even get on the row machine.
Thank you. I love that.
From her little wheelchair. She do everything by herself. She don't want help.
She don't need it.
She don't need help. She cool. She's like, I budgeted the time. I understand. Like, I already budgeted the hour and a half to be in here and do these 3 exercises. You good. You don't got to do nothing. I bet. I'm just saying. All right. Bet.
Anything is possible, honey. Anything is possible. Go, girl.
Problem solved. That's at the Lula that is your Salula, baby. You got to use the right delusion.
Okay.
But don't let your ego harm business. And this is a whole other piece on this whole thing. It's just how spiritual business really is. People want to think, oh, it's just numbers. It's actually a very spiritual process. It's a very personal development thing.
For sure.
If your ego gets in the way, you're gonna. You gotta know how to communicate. Mm-hmm. You gotta know how to get along with people you can't stand. Mm-hmm. Or make a stand so they get the heck out your way because there's more people you can't stand that are behind you. But you're always gonna run into people you don't really like along the way. And
how often have you seen people's egos mess up their business?
Every day. I'm not trying to be rude, but honestly, if first of all, I ain't got no filter.
No, I know.
And I'm here in DC. So if we start talking about what's going on in the White House, I'm going to talk about it.
No, for sure.
And if you're of a certain complexion or have a certain religious background that may or may not have ties to events that happened in the 1940s and 30s in Europe, they tend to get very sensitive when I use the actual words like Nazi.
It's very sensitive. We shouldn't have to use that word. That way. Yeah, we don't need to say the word.
It's funny.
But you're thinking it. You're saying the same thing I'm saying it. You just want to put a better word to it. That's why I can't stand the whole word play. Because it's just call it what it is.
And I am a linguist, so you're not going to win this with me.
It's okay. Just call it what it is.
You're not going to win. You're not going to win trying. Well, I'm just arguing semantics. And semantics is the meaning of words. And the meanings of words is how we communicate. Nice try. Let's argue semantics, ho. Let's argue semantics.
Semantics, ho. It's crazy.
Let's argue semantics, ho. Let's argue semantics. Okay? I did a whole class on just semantics. I wrote essays. I did midterms, final assignments, projects. Let's talk semantics.
This is why I don't write. I go to her. Some problems that I don't write. You see all that comes with that? I don't do all that. I don't need to do all that.
The problem is when you raised by somebody who wanted to be a lawyer, you never got to work out that lawyer energy.
She's got no choice at this point.
And then the worst part was if you were an undergrad and you defeated the pre-law students at their own moot court game, you're not even a pre-law student, and your school's law department is one of the top 5 in the world, Craig, in the world.
In the world, not just the city.
Okay. You know what, too? Totally off topic, but I'm just tired of acting like I didn't go to Berkeley because y'all went to some nobody state university. I said it. I know I am. I'm tired of it because I put in work.
Okay.
I didn't get in on a scholarship.
Okay.
I didn't get in on DEI or affirmative action. There was 4% black people going to Berkeley when I went there. 98% of them were athletes. You want to know why I have those numbers? Because they matter. Because all 4 of us who weren't athletes were all like, yo, that's crazy. You're not in the game? You're not in the game? So we're the black community that's just here on academics? You have a scholarship? No. Oh, yeah. You know what my GPA was? A 3.2.
Period.
Okay? Statistical anomaly. But I got in.
That's all that matters.
I got in. I stayed in. I graduated. In 2 years with 2 BAs. And one's in a foreign language. And it's not a romance language. It's Japanese. Okay? 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 Nihongo hanaseru no wa.
Talk your shit, girl.
So I'm tired of that. With y'all, I don't know where you went university because I don't even know the name. Okay? I'm sorry that you didn't try harder. That's not my fault. I helped over 500 students get into their university of choice, and most of them were top 50 universities. I have a 100% acceptance rate in getting over 500 students into their universities, their college admissions. So you can't tell me nothing. You need something to get you into college. Okay? If I got half of the credits for the amount of schoolwork I have worked on, I'd have like 500 credits by now.
Period.
I'd have multiple PhDs. I have actually consulted on dissertations, theses, term papers, final projects, final exams, midterms, exams, and hella homework assignments, as well as admissions essays. Can't tell me none. And I say all this and how it relates to what we're talking about because people be letting their egos get in the way.
All the time. It's always a
they want you to shrink back. They want you to be something different. If there's one thing I appreciate about this technology is that it don't really, if it ever mattered, it really doesn't really matter what you look like anymore. How you dress, what your background is. What matters is do you get along with your coworkers. Now, what you look like, how you dress, what your background is might help determine those pieces, which is fair. But it doesn't determine the skills anymore. Because the most important skill is adaptability. Communication. There was a young gentleman who wanted to potentially join the company as an intern. And I ain't mad at him. He only took up an hour of my time, really. But, we went through this whole interview and a whole thing. And then in the end, he's like, actually, I want to just look for a job that pays. And I was like, you applied to be an intern. The word intern means no pay. But that's, you know what? I commend him for just communicating.
That's all you needed.
And I can't refer him in any capacity. I don't know him well enough to do that, to write a recommendation letter or referral or anything like that or testimonial. But he cool with me. He protected the relationship, right? And what I liked about this young man, he did not have a single real skill that I actually needed. But I'll be honest with you, right? Like if you look at the 6 internships that are sitting on my website today, right? As of today when we're filming this, and maybe different whenever you watch this, right? If you go to gwmcontentllc.com and you look under the career section, you will see some internships that are open. And the skills he had and experience he had wasn't a single thing on all 6.
But he tried. He put himself out there. Bless his heart.
And you're supposed to do that, as you should. You should put yourself out there. But the reason why I was willing to bring him on is because he seemed like somebody I could see myself working with. I could see myself chit-chatting with him. I could see myself bringing him along with me to an event. I was like, I can find a use for you. Because what I need are useful people who aren't going to waste my time and space. And just by virtue of him communicating effectively is he can come up to me and be like, hey, do you know of anybody, who has these kind of jobs available? I might connect him to a recruiter. I'm not going to go any further out of my way than I have, of course, now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's preserved the relationship. A lot of times, and this is me ragging on HR again because I can't stand them. But I get what they're doing and why they're doing it, and I know what they have to do. But I wish like that the barrier between a good HR manager and the company, the actual hiring manager, is huge, right?
Yeah.
The HR person is going to say, do they get along with the team? Do I think they can work with us? But the hiring manager is the guy who knows what the team really does. HR doesn't know that. And it's important to get back to the 5 Ps here. We're talking about the people.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I say don't just fire people, right? Because sometimes the problem with your team is they can't freaking stand each other. The problem with your team is you got one guy who is delusional, a 35-year-old delusional dude who thinks that the new 22-year-old is going to be his future wife.
Not even that. Like, honestly, the whole age gap in coworkers is always, for some reason, just don't never work out.
And you can't... The goofy thing is age discrimination is over 40. So in theory... I looked up the laws. I did. I looked it up. I did. So Norma, I was going to bring the guy on, so I just got our little policies and much more tightened up again to bring somebody else on. And age discrimination is for over 40, not under. And but because I say this to say that, right? Like we're millennial women,
yes,
and I more or less like the idea. And I'm willing to put this on record because like the idea and I'm only going to work with are 2 different phrases. I like the idea of having a team that is millennial friendly. Okay. And that is different. There is a 66-year-old woman who I think would be a great person to add to our team, right? Okay. She's a 66-year-old white lady. Mm-hmm. And she's the sweetest pie. Period. She's so saccharine, she's gonna rot your teeth out. Period. But she's smart. Mm-hmm. She's fast. She's open-minded. She's curious, and she's helpful. Mm-hmm. And if I had the budget, I don't even know what I'd give her to do. You know what I mean? But like I know she needs some money. Thank you. And she's the sweetest pie. Mm-hmm. So if I had the budget, I would hit her up and I'd say, "Yo, will you come work for me?" Yes. And I think she get along with us quite well. Even though, right, because she cool. She got hella, she got hella black friends. She's that white lady who, she got the potato salad arms. I'm pretty sure she knows not to put raisins in the potato salad. I love her. Am I saying she's invited to the cookout? No, I'm saying I actually would go to her house to eat. That's what I'm saying. You're not coming to my cookout. That's a hard rule. But I will go to your barbecue. You know what I mean? I will go to your barbecue. If I have a barbecue, you can come. Barbecue's at a cookout. A barbecue's at a cookout. And I'll tell all my people, look, this is a barbecue, not a cookout. Yes, they can come. You know who I'm talking about. Yes, they can. They can come. The ones who you would consider giving the cookout invite to, they're allowed to come to the barbecue. Well, she can come to barbecue. And she's 66. She's mama age. She cool. Mm-hmm. There's some 18-year-olds I want nothing to do with. And there's some other 35-year-olds I want nothing to do with either. And some 45-year-olds I want nothing to do with. And the understanding that is how you build better teams. Because, it might be. You'd be surprised. I'm a lady. I like whiskey. I like bourbon. I like cigars. I've liked cigars since I was 18. I've liked whiskey and bourbon legally since I was legally allowed to. And that's just what I like. Mm-hmm. If you see me at a cigar lounge, I'm there for me because I wanted a drink and smoke, not because I'm for me. This is for me. Now, depending on where I'm sitting in the lounge, is how you can figure out whether you can come talk to me. If I'm at a table in the back by myself, leave me alone. Also, because my dude might be in the bathroom. But if you see me walking with, a few homegirls, we vibing. You see me sitting at the bar by myself. It's a reasonable invitation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I say all that to say that, sometimes on paper, your idea of who is going to mesh with a group of like 50-year-old white guys
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mesh reasonably well.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not racist, obviously, and that they can handle tough conversations,
Mm-hmm.
then we're good. How is that going to help your team, right? Diversity in your team does matter.
Yes, it does.
And
yes,
I have found in working in group projects, actually, well, I think my most successful group project ever was when I was just 14. I was in a program called Youth in Government.
Mm-hmm.
And I just a plug to the YMCA for this one. I love me some youth in government when our children are old enough.
Period.
And if they're, in high, I don't think they have to be in high school, thank God. But when they're old enough, I would try to submit them to a youth in government program. Mm-hmm. It's exactly kind of what it sounds like. It is a mock government that you build for the state, or in this case, the district. Okay. We have our own assembly members, House, Senate, our own committees. We elect our own governor, lieutenant governor, all the things. Mm-hmm. And we write legislation. And we write it modeling real policy. That's how I got into policy in high school. I wonder, how can I say I've written 15 bills before I graduated high school? I typed 15 bills. And 5 of my bills made it all the way through to get signed and moved to the real state legislature, actually. But they didn't get signed, and it's fine. They didn't make out a committee. That's normal.
You did it.
But I did that.
Mm-hmm. But you did it.
And I'll never forget my first experience with them, which made me go back every year. My first project was on a very controversial bill, which was to legalize prostitution. Right? Okay. Right. Like, what? Yeah, we went there. Because we're 14, we're 16-year-olds. Let's do something fun. Let's legalize prostitution. This is in California. And I'll never forget, we had this one girl on the team who was she hated it. She was a hardcore, almost Catholic, super Christian.
Religion always comes
super family oriented. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure she is making some guy super happy as a wife. And I don't say that to be shady in any way. I mean, she is the woman you want in charge of your family, your children, because she was beating this thing down. She hated it. She's like, I don't like this. What if kids are going to see it? Okay, fine. We'll put in that it can't be within 1,000 yards of the school. Okay, what about advertisements? Okay, we'll write a thing that says you can't advertise. Okay, but what about this kind of advertisement? Okay, you can't do that kind of advertisement either. What about that? Okay. We gotta let them advertise somewhere. How about they can only advertise in adult sites and adult publications and adult things?
People like that, they work, but then they don't work because she gave you guys this other things to think about just in case. And you guys use that and was like, well, let's find a solution. Let's do it this way. Let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. Because there are people like that, like her. They are definitely like that.
That annoying person you can't stand your team, you got to ask, how can't you stand them? Why can't you stand them? And do they give value?
Yes.
Now, the kind of petty person, I saw this story and I felt like slapping that person. They work at a company. The company has a cafeteria that produces food and puts it in the break room for the staff. Mm-hmm. And they noticed about 2 months ago, someone was stealing all the snacks. They call them snack swindler, right? Snack swindler hit again. Snacks go out at 8. By 10 o'clock, they're gone. Lunch comes out at noon. By 2 o'clock, lunch is gone. And they made a thing. HR sent a note, but cameras in the break room. And this person saw who it was. Oh. Saw it was a dude who was just putting everything in a bag. And the guy was like, listen, it isn't what you think. He's gonna make a big deal. That person did. That person reported them to HR, and the next day they were fired. Then, the following day, they get the link to a GoFundMe. Turns out that colleague, their sister had just died. Didn't leave no insurance, no nothing for the babies. This colleague was taking care of 2 babies and was struggling to make ends meet. Living in a 1-bedroom, sleeping on their own couch. Their niece and nephew can sleep on the bed. And just struggling, and they're taking the food just to feed the family. And this nosy mofo got this person fired.
I feel like, but with stuff like that, it's like, I'm not saying you got to tell HR your business or tell anybody all of your personal business. But if you know that it's you doing it and they don't put notices up, you can at least let somebody know the backstory of what's going on. Because when things change and people are literally going to start looking.
Right.
And you get caught like how you did and somebody says something not knowing your backstory. Because all you said was you wouldn't understand, well, it's more to this, but you didn't go fully in depth with what's going on. You kind of like I said, you don't got to tell them what's going on, but kind of give them just a little bit, like a hint, like, I got an XYZ, blah, blah, blah.
And that's why the communication piece. I bring all this up to say that there is a lot of business, unfortunately, the business world was created by unempathetic people.
Yes.
The current business culture that's dominating.
Yes.
Definitely here in the United States.
Yes.
These people have no empathy. They don't have compassion. It's all about dollars and cents.
That's all.
And because of that, vulnerability, weakness, sensitivity, people are scared to show. Because stuff like that happens. And I bring this up to say that...
Mainly more, all jobs, but in the government, when I used to work in the government, it was crazy. It was really...
Why do you think I stay away from that?
Crazy. It was one of those moments where I was like, I gotta get out of here.
I stay away.
Like, I walked into the building where my supervisor was working, and you can tell the difference.
Energy of mediocrity.
Oh my God. It was just like, I said, I gotta get out of here. Like, I have to go. Like, it's just...
My theory is you work for the government because you are a highly anxious person who lives on fear, and you want to go to the safest place possible. That's my theory. I haven't seen it proven wrong.
It's crazy. Like, the government world is just not...
Here are people who are like, FBI agents because they actually believe in doing the right thing.
Yes.
I'm not talking about y'all.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the guy who works at HR. I hate HR, I'm sorry. But I'm talking about the guy, I'm talking about the everyday people. The people who work in any, the Social Security Administration, the IRS. You're probably there because you just want a safe job. Not because you really care.
Yeah.
Not because you're really good at anything in particular.
Yeah.
It's because you're nervous. You don't want to have to perform, present,
you don't have to do the most. You can just sit at your cubicle, eat your cheese sandwich, and just call it a day and just rack up on the benefits.
And it's sad because when it comes down to this piece, that is actually where a lot of the resistance is really coming from. I've observed this, to your earlier point, right? People's egos and business, how it gets in the way. I've observed this where I've started to see that sometimes the opposite. The business owner wants to bring in the AI and the team doesn't.
Okay.
Because the team is worried that they're going to get fired. They're going to get exposed for being lazy and slow.
Yes. So
that delays the onset because, a good business owner is not going to disrupt their whole team for anything. But it's why it comes down to understanding your people. Understanding the people that you're working with, that you're working for. What are their needs? What are their concerns? If you're, I don't know what to tell those nervous Nellies. I don't know what to tell you. Step up. It comes back to what I say. If you're one of those people, you're those anxious, nervous people that runs on fear and lives in your head.
It's going to show.
Open up Flux. Open up Gemini. Open up ChatGPT. Open up Manus. Open up Gamma. Open up the freaking programs. On your own dime, on your own time. There's too many free trials out there and free products for you to be sitting here pressed. Try it. It's so many layers. That's what I'm saying. In education, you see educators who are upset. And unfortunately, millennials are becoming the problem now because we had to deal with the Dewey Decimal System. We had to deal with opening up books, reading them, scanning them so we could print out the citation if we had to. We had to manually type MLA or whatever format to cite sources. We had to manually put in the footnotes. We had to do all that work ourselves. I remember I was there. 3,000 years ago when this verse was struck that we had to start using MLA. I was there. I had to read books. Look, it was not pretty. I mean, my library was actually pretty. That's one thing. Like, what? That's some of the libraries. A couple of those libraries are hideously ugly, which makes it worse. Especially like the one is called Stax, which is like one of the world's biggest libraries. It is underground, and it's one of those ones where you have to like spin the bookshelves because they're literally stacked. You know what I'm talking about? Like where the bookshelves are literally this far apart from each other, and you have to go.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to one of those.
No, you don't.
I mean, listen.
Not when you have finals.
No, listen. I don't need to stay in there. But I always thought those libraries were so cool. I was like, oh, this is neat.
Yeah, if we go to the Bay Area, I'll take you with me. I'll see if I can get you visitors pass.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be an a-hole. I'm just saying I can see if I can get you visitors pass so you can go in there and go spin.
Yeah, I just want to spin it and watch, everything just spread. But then, like you said, like if you have finals, obviously that's something different. But
man, I was down there one time and I just packed my bag with like my laptop, a couple of my workbooks, hella edibles, and my headphones, and I was in there for 3 whole days. I just slept under my desk, like that, because once you get your desk, you're not giving that thing up. Like if you get your little private cubicle desk, you're not giving it up. And man, like it was cool though. I'm not gonna lie, like it's cool to open up the John and see like one of those tomes that's like this big and it's like papyrus scroll type shit.
It's so cool.
And you're over there like,
yes.
And the Lord said, let there be light. And then there was light. Oh, word? Like, it'd be cool.
Listen, you gain some muscle strength. I tell you that much. But
no, thankfully, those things are really easy to turn.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, they're like.
Oh, thank you.
They're like those easy. It's not power. It's power steering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, you're not over here.
I'm okay trying to. One of those.
No. It's more like the annoyance is like there'll be like 10 bookcases stacked together and you need number 5. So now you got to move 1, move 2, move 3, move 4 just to get space to 5. And then you got to go to number 6, you got to scoot that over. And then somebody's like, hey, are you done? I need number 3. And you're like, huh? Let me pull out all these books and let you go get number 3.
Thank you.
And then I'll just stand here because I don't want if I don't reshelve them partially, then the next person's not gonna be able to find the freaking books. So I get the struggle. I'm saying all that to say that unfortunately millennials are becoming the problem because we're the school teachers, right? We're even college professors now, and definitely we're definitely some of us are still grad students who are grading the work, and we're using the tools the wrong way. If I haven't said it once, let me say it here and now. AI detection systems cannot detect AI use. They are a waste of time. Are y'all listening? I'm trying to look right in the camera. If you AI detection systems think that they wrote the Declaration of Independence.
No, they don't.
If you submit it, here's a fun. Go ahead and take something that was written in like the 80s or 90s or earlier, right? Like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Magna Carta. Okay, take something like that. Take the UN Charter of like 1949, I think, 49, 45. Take that and submit it to 2 or 3 or 5 different AI detection systems or large language models and ask them how much of this was written by AI. The answer will always be larger than 0. Sometimes the answer will be 90%, 80%, 100%.
That's a lot.
And here's one thing I'll tell you. For the students out there who might be listening who are worried, right? And the educators. I will never forget, because this is like my writing trauma. So I'll never forget. I was reading senior year of high school where I had no F's to give. I was in regular level English. I wasn't even taking advanced AP English. I was just taking regular English. And I had a book assignment to do over the winter break. I decided, you know what? I put effort into this thing. I got nothing to do this winter break. I have no vacations, nothing lined up. So I already had read a book. I picked a book I just read. I'll reread it. I'll spend the break reading hundreds of book reviews on other books. And then I'll read the book reviews of this book. And then I'll write my own book review. And I poured my heart and soul into that 1.5 page little book review. That heifer read 2 sentences and gave me a 0 for plagiarism. This was in 2007. To date myself here, but to give you an idea, this was over the 08, 06, 07 break.
I just got into high school.
Oh. And I was graduating. But
I was just there.
That heifer needed to retire. She was on like her last couple of years of retirement. Was she? Of course she was. And yeah, she took like I had to get my mom to come to school. I was so distraught. I was ready to flip tables. The best she would do is give me a C. She said, "There's no way you wrote that." I was like, "Ma'am, you've watched me read this book in your class. I literally read this book in your class. In fact, you tried to take the book from me and tell me it was an inappropriate book. It wasn't an appropriate book for me."
So you gonna bring that part up?
No.
And she was right.
She was right. I'm gonna stop right there. It was an inappropriate book for the average 17-year-old girl to be reading.
Okay, now.
Am I the average 17-year-old girl? No. Did my mom know about the book? She bought it. She paid for it. Well, I paid for it, but she knew I had it because I'm in her house. She did not know about the book.
Okay.
And I'm like, "Ma'am, you've seen me read this book in your class, but there's no way you wrote like that. How do you know? Every other essay you've given has been an in-class essay. You've seen me write on the fly in handwriting. You've never seen me write at home when I had a whole month to do nothing but write. It looks so professional. So you're telling me I'm a good writer."
So instead of you just like pulling me to the side and asking me like, "Hey, Jessica, this is really good. Did you?"
She was a racist. Let's just call it what it is. She was racist.
Okay.
I say all this to say that if you think the AI detectors are mean, imagine having your teacher look you dead in the eyes and say, "There's no way you could have did that," and take your best work and basically throw it in the garbage.
Didn't tell you it's you plagiarism.
And you go to her boss, and her boss can't do nothing about it. Because what can the counselor do? The vice president of the school couldn't do nothing. Because he's like, "Would you plagiarize it?" No. Okay. What do you want me to do? She gave me a C, honestly, because C's, it's a great thing. What do you want? I can't make her change her grade.
Why not?
Because it's not college. And in college, they couldn't do that either. I had another problem with that professor. Was he white? Of course he was. I had the same problem I had the same problem with 2 different, not professors, lecturers. That's why they're upset. See, this is the people problem. People who sell themselves short get mad at you when you're doing well. People who are mediocre and don't want to just admit that they're mediocre, those average Abigails, if you know that story, if you know, go look it up. It's a fun little cute story, average Abigail. Man, never have I seen a piece of chicken get roasted so well. The most seasoned roasting I've ever seen of a piece of chicken. Because her name was Abigail. So that's why we called her average Abigail. Some little white girls like, "I didn't get to Harvard because of blacks." I think it was Harvard. It was one of those big schools. She's like, "Because of affirmative action, I didn't get in." And the school had to be like, "Heifer, you average. You mediocre."
That's what happens when your parents lying to you just to get you ahead so you can
The
get into
worst
that name
part,
of school.
There was nothing about this girl that wasn't average. Because now everything had to get put out there. Because she took it like to the Supreme Court or something. She made like a big deal out of it. And so now we all looking at all her stuff. And there was nothing about this girl that isn't average. Okay. Except for her audacity, which is par for the course.
Yeah.
But I say all that to say about this people element and how you navigate AI use and AI tools, right? it sounds so great to just be like, slap AI on it, but what's the real problem and does it solve it? AI detectors cannot detect AI use. I have heard of students who wrote their real paper, got a 90% AI use score, then actually used AI to write their paper, and got a 7% AI use score by the same tool. The same tool that thinks that it wrote the Constitution.
Well, who the hell told them that they wrote the Constitution?
So, one of the things that it looks for, I'll tell you from my knowledge, there's a few things that look, they don't reveal this, but when you use these tools enough, you figure out how they work. Some of the things that these tools look for to say if you used AI is grammar. If your grammar is perfect, amazing, excellent, they'll assume that you use AI. Do you use non-conventional words? So in any language, this is my linguist coming out in me, but any language, there's 2,000 words in every single language. Those are the most commonly used words of the language. 2,000. Then there's about an additional 8,000 words that get used when they're needed, like declaration, right? No one says I doth declare. I declare. No one says declare anymore, right? It's not standard American English or any English use. Definitely not American English use, right? You typically don't use the word emancipate or emancipation used up much. It only really has two contexts, discussing the Emancipation Proclamation and discussing a minor child trying to get adulthood status, emancipation. That's it. I say that to say that when you understand how these tools are working, what they're doing is they're looking at your writing and they're saying it is exceptionally well very, very grammatical. You're using unusual grammatical phrases and construction, sentence construction that's not common. And you are using words that are not in the common 2,000 words or even in the common, say, most common 5,000 words used. Once you start dipping into every language has what we call a lexicon, which is a body of words, not including slang or pejorative terms that have not been normalized. Every language has usually around 50,000 words.
Okay.
Like the full breadth. There's some languages that are much smaller. French is notoriously large. It's a very notoriously large lexicon. American English has a pretty decent sized lexicon because American English in general has the ability to create words out of nothing. So Google didn't used to be a noun. It is a noun and a verb, right? Google it. She Googled it. It's just some Google research. Why don't you just go to Google, right? Like before, literally before 1997, Google didn't exist. The company, the Alphabet Corp couldn't create Google since 1997. It didn't go mainstream until almost 10 years later, Googling as a concept. So I say that to say that there's other languages which really only have about 20,000 words that are really ever used at all, like at all. Right. And this is especially pertinent if we're studying Chinese. I don't know if you've ever heard of so there's the two main types of Chinese that are spoken, right? Which is Mandarin and Cantonese.
Yeah, I know Mandarin.
And then there's the dialects like Hapa, and then you have other like adjacent languages like Hmong, which is a whole other language, but it's kind of in the same language family, right? But just as far as just Chinese, when you say I speak Chinese, you're saying I speak Mandarin or Cantonese, and it depends on where you're from in China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, which is China. I'm not going to get into that today. Then there's two types of written Chinese. There's traditional and there's simplified. Okay. Simplified was created by the People's Republic of China in order to increase literacy. Okay. That's exactly what it sounds like. It simplifies the writing. It takes complicated characters and simplifies them down. And then you kind of have to remember which sound goes to that. Okay. And the context. You now are using context cues. Because one character might have 12 meanings. Because it simplified the pieces and parts. It simplified in multiple different languages, all multiple different words put together. I bring this up to say that's what these AI models are using, right? So because that's why Chinese can have 20,000 characters to express 100,000 words, because this is in traditional, or to simplify the whole language down to I think like 5,000-ish characters. And they do that because, again, what are the common most 2,000 words that are used? What are the most common uses of certain pieces of the ideogram that makes a Chinese character.
Mm-hmm.
And that is I'm using it as an analogy to kind of help you understand the idea of what I mean when I say it reads your language and it kind of makes a guess, right? It's like, people don't really talk like that anymore. That's unusual wording, right? And it doesn't have context. That's why when you give it an old piece of text, it thinks it wrote it, because an old text is using old styles of speech, old words.
Okay.
If you ever read those old, like, Nancy Drew books, you remember those? What was the one with the brothers? Remember the Hardy Boys? Was that it? The Hardy Boys, the little book. Same time Nancy Drew came out. I think it was called the Hardy Brothers or Hardy Boys. Anyway.
I just know Vance Nancy.
Right. And if you read those books, they're written in like the 1950s. There is phrasing in there that's hilarious. You'd be like, oh my God, Tom ejaculated. Because ejaculate just means to splurt out.
Okay. Versus how we use it.
Well, it has the same meaning. Right?
It does have the same meaning.
It has the exact same meaning.
People put in the sentence.
Well, because
the sentence is where they're, the line of words.
This is now we're getting into pragmatics, which is a little thoroughly in my wheelhouse here. But that's the difference between, right, when do you use which word in which time? In this time period, you can say he ejaculated. That just means he said something. He just blurted something out. Whereas now you just say he blurted.
Yes.
Right? He blurted out. He yelled. To throw versus to yeet. Right? Like some of these phrases, they come and they go, and that marks the common use of terms. And so when you're talking about how to use your tools, go back to what is the problem? How do I detect if AI is being used? The honest answer is you just kind of have the eye for it. A human eye to be able to look like, that looks like some AI generated slop. That looks like some overly optimistic, overly saccharine AI slop.
Okay.
Get it out of my face. And that's your discernment. So then if you're a professor, if you're a teacher, and you're trying to give assignments and make sure your students aren't cheating, the real solution to that problem isn't to what's the best AI detector. The solution is to build your assignments assuming that the students are always going to use AI. Stop assigning essays. Stop it. Right? For business, how do I get my blogs, my newsletters, my emails written that people don't get turned off because it's written entirely with AI? You train your staff on how to use these programs. You train them how to blend the programs into their own writing and how to proofread and read their work in a way that will produce work that is enhanced by AI, sped up using AI, but doesn't annoy the reader. Readers can tell when your AI work is AI generated. It's painfully obvious. I cannot tell you, as someone who does this all day, what are the exact things, because part of it is the woo-woo that no one wants to admit. It's the spiritual piece. It's the energy. You understand? If you see, like I write things out. I write it myself. It's pretty obvious when I wrote it myself. It's fairly obvious when something was written by AI, because between us, I don't edit the AI stuff too much, so it's pretty clearly AI written. But if you give people like 2 different blogs on the same topic, and 1 or 3, let's say you give people 3 blogs on the same topic. One was 100% human written, one was 100% AI written, and one was human enhanced with AI. People will like the human enhanced by AI the most of the 3. They will like that the most. They will dislike the most the AI written one, and they will be okay with the human written one. So you just have to restructure how you do things. Back to the 5 P's, right? You got to understand your problem. What are you trying to solve? You got to understand the people that you have available to help you solve the problem. And what are the problems that are unique to that person, right? So if Jessica's problems is distraction, burnout, emotional, mental burnout, right? And I have an unfortunate habit of just giving myself too much stuff to do, right? So it's not even just being distracted or being burnt. I get burnt out because I give myself too much work, and it's not reasonable. So how is my capacity? It's me thinking I can do this much, I can really handle this much, or me usually being able to handle this much. I got a little burnt out and I can only do this much. You know? So how do you build solutions? How do you go to the policies, the process, and the products that match Jessica's problems and the general problems that are built in? Because there's the general problem of like getting this work out. And there's Jessica's problems in getting the work out. So then how are you going to build a policy, create the process, and use the right products that matches that solves the real problem, leans on the human element to get the work done. That makes sense?
It makes sense to me, honey.
We went on a journey there. We talked about a lot of different things, but we're always going to come back to the real point. And because it's really important for everybody to understand the nuances, right? It's just not as simple. I can just give you a list of softwares and companies that I like. I can give you like my top 10 programs right now. And it may not solve a single one of your problems. And may not work with any of your people. And so that was a waste of me writing that list. That's why it's hop on my calendar. Come talk to us. Come do a free little consult. Yes. Let's do a free little consult. Let's figure you out. Who are your people? What are your problems? Who are your people? Do you have policies? What are the processes you do so we can figure out the products and the systems and the workflows? It all comes back together. Because that's why I pulled up my high school example. That AI had nothing to do with that. That was people. That was a people problem. That was a heifer's racist problem. That's what it is. That heifer was AI was not going to make that better or worse. I guarantee it. And quick note for the students. I got an easy one if you're out there. If you are a student, if you're a teacher, if you know students. I said this yesterday to a gal who had that same issue. The way that you prove that you wrote your own work, empirical proof that you cannot be denied, that no one can argue with you, that you wrote your own work, is to do all of your work on Google Documents. Okay. I'm not paid by Google. I'm not sponsored by Google. I just saying, this is what I did when I was in college, way long ago. This will work. And it solves problems. If you do everything on Google Documents, you will get a stamp for when you started. It'll show every single revision, every single letter that you typed, every single letter that you typed will pop back up in there, and it'll show this is the work you did. It'll show if you copy paste it or not. It'll show right up. You can show the Google Doc and get share it with them so they can edit it. That's what you want to give them, editing access, and then you let them be able to go look at the revision history, and they'll look on this day at this time, this day at this time, all this stuff. So you'll be able to see. Here's the first document. Here's the date. Here's the second document where I copy pasted it. I copied the document and did this thing. Here's my notes document. If you do every single thing in Google Documents, Google Drive, you will always have proof that you did your own work.
That's all you need.
And for those who still want to use AI and cheat anyways, you could just type everything that the AI wrote out.
Add your own words to it.
You don't even have to. I'm just saying, if you really want to be slick, and I'm going to give you all the tips. If you really want to be slick, and you do want to use AI to write your paper, and your professor won't like that, just have AI write it, and then just type everything yourself.
Okay. Go from there.
If you're really pressed for time and you got a couple bucks, pay somebody else. I kid you not. Pay somebody else to sit on your account. They have to use your real account because it'll show if somebody else did it. They'll have to sit at your desk, use your real account, and just type everything on there for you. That way, that's an easy $10-20 an hour for them. And I mean it. If someone else that type really fast, and you're in college, especially,
you're gonna do what you gotta do.
If you're in college and you wrote a perfect essay on ChatGPT, and you want to prove that you wrote it yourself, and you don't want to actually copyright every type word you wrote yourself,
okay,
pay somebody else to do it.
They'll do it. Not a problem.
And here's the beauty of it. Humans are gonna make some mistakes, and if they don't, if they're a perfect typer, then they'll get it done. And I would do like $20 an hour to type it. If you get it done in 1 hour, your $40 bonus. That's $60 for an AI written paper. That's plagiarism proof, because they're gonna see a Google Doc that you opened up, and then all you can say is, "I had paper notes, and I lost my notebook." and they can't prove that.
There's always a method to the madness.
I'm gonna give you the hacks, baby. I never get caught for plagiarism. I helped those 500 students with all those papers. I have a 0% plagiarism rate.
Period.
Not a single student ever. Dissertations I've helped on, thesis statements. People got into big universities. I did Harvard homeworks. No one got caught for plagiarism. I'm very proud of that.
Listen,
I stand 10 toes down.
Listen, stand on it, baby, honey.
Because you can't prove what I did. You can. I don't even remember these students anymore. I'll be honest with you. If I could meet them today, and I wouldn't remember them.
They're probably say the same. It's like, oh.
No, I remember me. I'm sure. I'm unfortunately very memorable. Unfortunately, to my own chagrin, I'm a very memorable person. Because that happens all the time. People be like, oh my god, are you Jessica? Like, didn't you gonna like this? Weren't you like, that happened. I'm gonna go. We gotta go. But I'll tell you this quick little story. It was hilarious. I was a cheerleader back in high school. You can look it up. I was the only black one. And Alameda High. Hey, go Hornets. So I was cheerleader in Alameda High School. And I was the only black cheerleader. I remember I was there from 04 to 07. Mm-hmm. Or 03 to 07. Mm-hmm. Anyways, on the cheer squad from 04 to 07 though. And years later, 2010, 3 towns up the street, because the Bay Area is small, and the towns are up and down the street from each other. So 3 towns up the street had a kickback. Mm-hmm. Like very casual, just cooling at somebody's yard type of thing. This girl walks up to me and saying, hey, were you a cheerleader from Alameda High School in 2006? I feel like you were cheerleading at a Bishop O'Dowd game. What? Yeah, I remember you went to the Bishop O'Dowd game because you were the only black girl there. That was you, right, Jessica? So when I tell you I'm a memorable person, some girl she was across the field. And she's like, yeah, you're the only cheerleader I could hear. And you're the only black one.
Please get out my face.
And then I remember that I walked over and I asked what your name was, and he said your name was Jessica. And I was like, oh, she cool, I want to talk to her, but then they got you all out of there so we couldn't talk to you. And yeah, so that's you, right? And I was like, yeah. And this is why I always look good when I leave the house.
Don't come up to me and tell me something. Is that you? Like,
I'm telling you, like,
if I was the only black girl there, please don't come up to me.
It was traumatic enough as to be the only black girl there.
No, for sure.
That
and
was
then you want to remind me, tell me, yeah, you was the only like, don't do that.
I'm used to it. So I left the Bay, man. I got tired of that mess. But that still happens over here in tech. So black girls, get into tech. If you're a black woman in tech, if you're not a Eurasian man, let me put it that way. If you're not a Eurasian man and you're in tech, please stay there and please bring people and please connect with me on LinkedIn.
Thank you. What's
Jessica
your name
Martin.
Oh, there you go.
Jessica with the Y.
There you go.
Jessica WYNTER space MARTIN. I'm the only one in the world.
Period.
So if you are not a Eurasian, I'm not saying if you're a Eurasian man, we can talk. I'm just saying if you're not a Eurasian man in tech, holla at me.
Holla at me more.
Let's connect. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm in a couple women's AI groups, and we will soon probably launch our own community when we get some more friends and followers and do our thing there. So I'm really excited. So we had a great conversation today.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts, my dear?
No. We had a good one. This was a nice little episode. This was a good one. This was
like an add-on.
Yeah,
I was like, what to say?
Yeah, like this was a good one.
It was like the notes is like 3 sentences. Like literal time. 6 sentence notes. Like we're humans, see? People.
Thank you. Listen. Everything went good. This was a nice conversation. Like I said, hopefully people understand the problem, work that problem out.
With your people.
So
you can develop policies.
That's it.
Figure out the process to determine the products.
Period.
That's the 5 Ps of AI use and development. Period. Take care, everybody. Have a great day, week, all the things, and we'll see you in the next one.
Be blessed.